We also had a back and forth about 5G. I hear from the same people he seems to hear from that the Chinese are moving rapidly in terms of 5G deployment. But to trade, Jim, what is your take right now in terms of where things stand?
Well, the Hong Kong situation really got my attention this week when China agreed to withdraw that extradition provision they were trying to impose on Hong Kong after militantly saying they were never going to give way on that. And it reminded me, again, as I've said here before, China really takes the long view. They very specifically, in doing that, said, this doesn't change our goal of fully integrating Hong Kong into Chinese society, but we'll wait. It's been 70 years since Hong Kong was, reunified with China, and 70 years to China is virtually nothing. And I think the parallel of the trade negotiations is China may have some flexibility. They will make strategic concessions that advance their long-term goals. And if you assume their long-term goal is to be, if not the dominant world economy, certainly on a par with the United States, there may be a path through these negotiations where they can give way something and, accept that they don't lose that much face, and still have it be consistent with their long-term goal. Now, exactly what that's going to be, I don't know, but I do think it reminded me that they are adults, they are mature, they don't respond to any immediate political pressure. They do take a very long view, and I think if the United States recognizes that, we can come up with a plan that is going to look like a win for us that also is acceptable to them.
We have this live picture of Hong Kong. I mean, Jim, the surprise this week was actually that the U.S. economic data came in a lot better than expected on services, on consumer parts of our economy. The jobs data was kind of okay, mixed, but not recessionary. And that continues to be the president's edge and leverage when he decides to ramp up the tariffs and negotiate harder on China. So how do you match that with your view that China plays the long game and has leverage in that sense?
Well, I think when I was listening to Larry Kudlow just now, he said, China's hurting, the economy really isn't that good. I don't know how much we really know about that or how much it is hurting. But B, I don't think it matters that much to the Chinese. They can take a lot more pain than we can. Now, it is true, the numbers are looking good. And I've been skeptical of a recession for some time. I mean, we've got, really strong unemployment going here. Just because the yield curve inverted does not mean that we have to go into a recession. So yes, at this moment, the strong economy helps. But look what happens to the stock market every time there's the merest hint that there could be settlement of the trade wars. I mean, it went up, 400 points one day this week, just on the news that they're going to talk again. However good the U.S. economy is, it would be better if this uncertainty cloud wasn't hanging over the global economy. And if I was the President of the United States, I would want to harness that and take advantage of it. The stock market hasn't really gone anywhere for a year. If I was heading into an election, I'd like to see a nice rally over the next few months.
So are you in the camp, sorry, Mike, that believes that at some point he will actually just say, okay, here's a deal, given enough time that it'll send the market up, not to mention he'll have gotten lower rates from Powell because of concern about trade slowing down the economy?
Absolutely. I've been saying that all along. I think he's going to get a deal. And he's going to call it a win, and he's going to campaign on it. And he's going to get all the farmers excited. And, I mean, why wouldn't he? That's what he is good at. And so I've always thought there will be some kind of a deal that he will call a victory in the trade war. What I think is, though, so far have never seen any real understanding of the Chinese coming from the White House. And I don't know what the State Department is telling them a lot, which I assume they're ignoring it. But to keep bludgeoning them, to keep saying, we're going to hammer you, we're going to humiliate you, we're going to beat you, that to me is not a path to a solution.
Well, overnight, China again did another monetary easing move, right? They feel like they have a lot of these levers to pull to keep their economy going. But also the interesting thing about the timing of the initiation of the trade war by this administration was that China's long-term priorities were already, let's become less export reliant. Let's really foster more domestic consumption and get the middle class busy here, as opposed to this mercantilist model that they pursue. So this kind of fits into their long-term goals in a way. I guess the question is, what's the cost of global disengagement, right? You had this globalization kind of premium built into the world economy for 25, 30 years.
Yeah, well, I don't think we've really seen those costs showing up yet, which is one reason the U.S. economy may not have responded that much. I mean, companies are trying to do workarounds. I think there's still, at least from the people I talk to, a belief that whether it's because Trump isn't reelected or because they reached some kind of accommodation with the Chinese, that this status quo isn't going to last, that there is going to be a strong trading relationship with China. And so they're looking for kind of temporary outs. I don't see any wholesale move to, move manufacturing to Vietnam or something like that. And that's crazy. That would hurt the global economy. So I think there's very much a wait-and-see attitude on the part of U.S. businesses, but with a fundamental optimism that somehow this is going to get resolved because it's so much in both the United States and China's interest.